for the family, ain't nothing I wouldn't do. And they know what I'm going no matter who. Stairs vacant, I'm plotting my next move. Shout my niggas is getting this stacking blue. Tell them watch for the jackers and undercovers. All the snitches and bitches that say they like it. Not a trapper, I dabbled, it wasn't me. Streets will snatch, had you on somebody's teeth. Shout my nigga, they left him for dead. Hard to kill them, we come for revenge. Told them something won't happen again. 40 caliber, one in the head. Let them curses come blessings instead. Ain't no waters that I couldn't tread. You end up if your brothers ain't fed. At the table, we breaking the bread, yeah. Crown royal, I don't chase it. She ain't loyal, I replace it. Try and play me like I'm basic. I see clearly like LASIK. If it's a challenge, I embrace it. Don't test me, then I ace it. Show my mental in, watch me lace it. Lawless going crazy. I sit a law of vendettas. Prove y'all wrong, my pleasure. Enemies use all measures, yeah. If you knew better, do better. Follow my lead, trendsetter. We certified go-getters, yeah. Me and my niggas. We don't talk shit, talk business, yeah. Ride to the finish. Only one try, we giving, yeah. One hand winning. Don't smoke to the sky, no ceilings, yeah. I'll be there in a minute. The pedal to the floor, we living, yeah. Drawbacks is a small cause for the dream, yeah. Fall back, never fall off, I've been scheming. All facts, you been long gone from the scene, yeah. Cooking up beam, yeah. Serving up fiends, yeah. Money machine, yeah. Building up steam, yeah. Talking, I seen that. Not on that screen, yeah. Nubian queen, yeah. All of my DM, what it's gonna be, yeah. Yeah. I sit a law of vendettas. Prove y'all wrong, my pleasure. Enemies use all measures, yeah. If you knew better, do better. Follow my lead, trendsetter. We certified go-getters, yeah. Me and my niggas. We don't talk shit, talk business, yeah. Ride to the finish. Only one try, we giving, yeah. One hand winning. Don't smoke to the sky, no ceilings, yeah. I'll be there in a minute. The pedal to the floor, we living, yeah. Me and my niggas. We don't talk shit, talk business, yeah. Ride to the finish. Only one try, we giving, yeah. One hand winning. Don't smoke to the sky, no ceilings, yeah. I'll be there in a minute. The pedal to the floor, we living, yeah.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Monday episode of the Uninformed Fan. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. My name is Tyson. I am your host, along with my good friend Jeffrey off of the Schneid. Jeffrey, how are we doing today?
Doing fantastic today. Beautiful week, start to a Monday. It was a great weekend of sports, great weekend of, fellowship. And for me, a great weekend of work, not much else you can ask for, I guess.
It did kind of feel like the weekend was back a little bit as far as sports for the first. Yeah, it did. It kind of felt a little bit back, ever since the NFL left. Obviously we have spring training on. Did catch a little bit of the XFL. I did tune into golf for the first time in a long time, and it seemed like that was a rather interesting 4 rounds, more so than the Honda or anything like that. And then of course we had Formula One, which is always a great way to start off a Sunday morning in peace and quiet, cup of coffee, and watch a bunch of guys drive around in circles all day.
And now we get March Madness conference tournament starting this week, so this weekend should be jam-packed as well too.
It is.
Ramping up.
And, I don't consider myself, the handiest of men around the house, but I did want to toot my horn a little bit. I did change my alternator in the Avalanche this week. Yeah, I did. I changed it.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Now, I did have a little bit of help from YouTube, maybe a text to my cousin here and there. But it is amazing what you can find on YouTube, bro. So I took a $1,000 job, and it literally took me 35 minutes to do it. And it cost me $250.
Look at you.
I know, YouTube, bro. Saving money. Athena.
Thrifty. Like a Boy Scout over here, huh?
It is. So
I'm not handy whatsoever, but I am the guy who, anytime there's a, I guess the only masculine part of that is anytime there's like a bug or a lizard or whatever, I am the designated person to come.
You're the exterminator.
That up. I am the exterminator.
I like
That's about as far as that goes. Other than that, I'm, pretty much useless.
Well, I'm not far off of that. So I guess, there's one thing I just want to discuss here, and because it's something that really just pisses me off to no end. So I have a little bit of drywall work that I need done around, I put in my coffee machine stuff, and they screwed up the whole thing. So I go on this site, right, and it says that it's a local father-son type place in Winter Garden. Okay. So
Okay.
I go in there, I need that done, and I need my screen repair on my sliding glass, or not sliding glass, my sliding door, right, that goes outside. The dogs have run into it. I've run into it. It's on its last leg. It needs to be repaired. So anyway, they say that they can do all this stuff, right? So I fill it out to be contacted. So I put in my name, my number, my address, and of course I click submit, and then it pops up. We are unable to do this, but we are happy to refer you to our partners. So this was yesterday. So you can imagine my phone this morning has been absolutely nonstop. They forwarded my information to every single person that does any type of repairs in the entire fucking Orlando area. I've gotten 15 emails, 25 phone calls, and 4 texts already. And it's 11 o'clock.
Can I just say this, though, in fairness? Like, you already proved how thrifty you are by changing your own alternator. This is just allowing you to get a bunch of different quotes and continue with that same thriftiness that we've seen.
I thought about it. Now, it's one thing to take a couple bolts and a belt out and this, that, and the other. But the screen on a screen door has to be aligned perfectly. Right? Because if it's off like a little bit and the lines are crooked, I'm going to see it every single day going in and out of there picking up dog shit. And I can't do it, bro. It'll drive me absolutely nuts. It'll drive me nuts.
Well, it's the same thing as like your screen around your patio, right? Or your pool or whatever, right? Pretty much?
No.
You're just taking the...
Yes.
Oh, it's not.
Well, basically, it's a rubber thing around it. You have to cut it to size. You have to rubber thing around it, and then you just have to make sure that you get it absolutely level. Put the rubber back in. Put the molding pieces back on. It seems easy, and it probably is, but to get it exactly level, straight, I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to do that. I don't know.
I feel like you can do this. I have confidence.
I don't know. You're kind of giving me a little bit of warm and fuzzies. Maybe I will. Maybe I will try it.
I do look forward to hearing the report back on this, and hopefully everything went swimmingly. But I also am curious. Do you have? I'm assuming you have some kind of security cameras, whatever, in your house. When you say you walked into the screen, was that like walk directly into it and bounced off? Did you walk into it and walk through it? Did you fall? What exactly was the context behind walking to the screen?
Have you ever seen the videos of the guys throwing like bowling balls off of the top of roofs onto trampolines?
Yes.
It was like that. It was full bounce.
Back.
Full bounce. I went into it full force, head first, to the point where I had screen marks on my forehead, straight back to the point where I was just like, that just fucking happened. I just walked into the screen door.
You don't have video of it?
No, I don't. And if I did, I would never show it. This is third world problems, Justice. This is third world problems.
Yeah. Talk about third world problems. We got there's some of those going on over here.
There are definitely some of those going on over here. Let's get into it. We did just have some breaking news that was just given to us by our producer saying Derek Carr is to sign with the Saints.
Yes.
Wow.
It's interesting because where do they get the money from? You know, like I feel like every year they like do this, and it's like where'd they get the money from? They were worse than the Bucks.
Absolutely. You know? So
who knows? Listen, great signing. It automatically makes them obviously the favorites in that division to win. You now have the best quarterback in the division to add along to the people that you already have in place. Right now, we'll see what they do with Michael Thomas. But you know, if you add him to Olave and Kamara and that line and that defense and how good that defense can be, I think it's a great signing for them. I think they are in win now mode, so you might as well go all in and go for it. I'm sure Derek Carr will fit right in New Orleans, and you know, we'll see what happens. But you know how it is over here. It's still fuck the Saints, bro.
always. I don't know. As a Saints fan, I don't know if you get excited about this. I don't know, because just the same thing with everybody talking about the Bucks, and we you know, we had a lot of conversations about the Bucks and whether they should sign. I don't think it's a sexy signing. I think he's a middle of the pack quarterback. He's had teams, right? We're talking about the Raiders that he just had. You know, he's still throwing the interceptions. I don't know. I mean, if this was you and you were saying, are you excited about this signing?
Of course I am. If I'm a fan of the Saints and I go from Andy Dalton to Derek Carr, I'm definitely excited about it.
Well, they still have Jameis Winston on the staff.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be released pretty soon.
Poor
It's
guy.
unfortunate. I feel like Jameis never really got a shot out there either, which is weird to me. You know, like they decided to go with Andy Dalton over Jameis when the entire team was clamoring for Jameis, when he was winning awards from the team as, you know, being an incredible teammate and all this stuff. Very, very weird scenario there that went on with Dennis Allen, and even their beat writers asking over and over again, why would you not play Jameis? Who knows? I'm sure.
Did they ever come out with a reason? A reason? I know he got the only reason why he lost the job, right, was injury again.
He kept on saying that he was injured, but yet he was dressed every single game as the backup.
Now that was him saying, or the team?
The team kept on saying that he was injured.
Jeremy says a fractured back and injured his foot. I'll tell you, if the fractured back thing is legitimate, that could end his career. If it, I mean, you've had I've had numerous back issues. I mean, back is just something you just can't mess with. I don't know.
Worse. It's literally debilitating. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the division's wide open. You know, I'd say the Saints are probably a quarterback away last year from winning the division, considering how bad the Bucs were. No matter what, even though they ended up winning the division, the Bucs did. Probably didn't deserve to win it or be there. It was just a product of their environment. Listen. Let's see what the contract numbers are, right? It says it's imminent, it's going to happen, he's going to sign. Let's see what the numbers say. Let's see how they're going to work this around and make this happen. Who's got to go? You know, are you keeping Michael Thomas at his cap hit of, you know, what, $20 million or whatever it is coming up next year?
How many good seasons had Michael Thomas had?
With Drew Brees, he had a few. But, I mean, it's just like Jonathan Isaac, you know?
I mean,
he can't stay healthy.
Exactly.
It's the most frustrating thing in the world.
I mean, at what point do you keep signing the check with a player that doesn't play? He didn't play hardly at all last year, right?
Do I keep drafting him in fantasy football, being like, this is a league winner who's coming back in week 6. Don't worry. This is just like making a midseason trade. I'm going to keep him on my fucking IR all year. Don't worry. He'll be back. He'll be good. I promise you. Michael Thomas of old this year.
There's 2 players, I swear to God, I will never draft in fantasy again. And one is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I did him 2 years in a row for whatever reason. And the other one might shock you, Alvin Kamara. Like, I've had him, I think, the last 2 years as well. And it's just like, no.
It's amazing how we have people that, for some reason. So, me growing up, I don't know why. I just, like, always fell in love with these slot receivers. And for some reason, every year, Marcus Buffington, if you're listening, I know exactly what you're going to say. It's Danny Amendola. We're riding or fucking dying over here, okay? Every single year, Danny Amendola with Sam Bradford on the St. Louis Rams. I swore to God it was going to happen. I took him every year when he was with the Patriots. You know, guys like Brandon Lloyd, who I thought were just going to have amazing seasons. Cordarrelle Patterson, who I took years ago with the Vikings. I mean, there's just always guys you'll never forget. And, you know, because you take a shot on somebody. You think that this is like the breakout season. You're seeing something that nobody else is. You're going to win every single league. You draft them in every single league. You know, this year was Javonte Williams. I took Javonte Williams in 4 out of my 4 leagues and literally lost them in week 2 for the rest of the year.
Hey, I'm there. I took Allen Robinson again. You know, I mean,
they just told Allen Robinson that he is allowed to go contact other teams and that his salary next year they will pay most of the $15 million if he wants to go somewhere else.
I find it hard. I don't think he's going to be in the league very much longer. But let's get into this NFL. So we got some combine numbers that came out.
What a fall from grace, though. You know, I mean,
yeah,
the guy was so good. He was so good with Jacksonville, right?
And then he went to the Bears.
Contract with Chicago, and you're like, all right, you know. And he had a good year. His first year was good.
It was
if
decent.
I remember correctly.
It was decent.
He had a good year his first year, and then just completely fell off like a 30-year-old running back. Amazing, really.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, I mean, you did have Andy Dalton. You had Mike Glennon, I believe, at one point thrown into him. It's just
legend, Mike Glennon.
It's just, you know, the Chicago is where players go to die, and you know, I mean, that's just the reality of it. You know, I did see something the other day. Speaking of the Bears, just how much we got robbed with. You know, we had Brandon Marshall, we had Jay Cutler, we had that defense, Matt Forte,
Alshon
Jeffrey, Devin Hester. and couldn't get anything done. But that's just the Bears for you. But Anthony Richardson, your golden boy that continues to prove you right over and over again, just scoring absolutely off of the charts at the combine. I think everybody is starting to clamor over this young man, regardless if they're in win now, regardless if they don't want to take on a project. I think everybody has their eyes open to this guy, and I was really surprised by the Bucks interviewing him, and I don't know if you saw the report about him talking about Kyle Trask, about how much he helped with Anthony Richardson, how much of a good guy, player, leader. I thought that was really cool. Even though I don't think that the Bucks are anywhere near being able to trade for this guy, but maybe they do. I don't know. Anyway, but that just goes to show you that the teams that are so far out are starting to look at him as a possibility. I mean, wow, we haven't seen talent like this since Cam Newton.
Sure. Just a few thoughts on this, real quick.
Was that a dismissive? Sure.
Yes, he was interviewed. I was never a Cam Newton fan. Yes, he was interviewed ever since he got kicked out of Florida, and he stole that laptop and wrote Cam in whiteout on the top of it. And when the cops came into the dorm room, he decided to throw it out the window. And
that's my boy.
Walked right downstairs and said, "Oh, this stolen laptop that you wrote Cam on in whiteout, dumb fuck." So a few thoughts about Anthony Richardson. The Bucks talking to him, I think is great. There was a story on Pewter Report that came out and said that the Bucks are all ready, so that they're not going to draft him. It's just not in the cards for them. It's just something that's not going to happen. I do think it's smart to interview him, though, especially if you think that one of your division rivals might be going after a quarterback as well, too. The more information you have on that unsaid quarterback, I think the better off it is for everybody. We talked about this, right? Anthony Richardson, an athletic freak, right? Measurables were going to be off the charts. The combine wasn't going to do anything but just exacerbate what we had already known as well. Yeah, we keep on mixing these words.
Wow, dude, you are impressing me.
So the combine was just going to do that. It was just going to, create this lore even more because the kid can run all over the field. The kid can throw the ball 80 yards on a flick. The thing that, and now they're saying that him on the board has been really good in terms of the way he processes plays as well. I don't think that Anthony Richardson struggles this year were because he can't process plays. I think his struggles were throwing the ball, right? When you look at throwing the ball, the way that his arm dips down and when it's more of a flick than it is a lot of times, and that's a mechanical issue. If somebody can get in there and get with him and work with him, now that will take time and reps over and over again to fix and correct. And, everything that we've seen so far is a very coachable kid.
That sounds really familiar, right? Great quarterback, just a possible throwing motion coming out of Florida. Sounds pretty familiar.
If we're comparing Tim Tebow and Anthony Richardson, let's please not.
You're right. Tim Tebow has a much better college record.
And a Heisman Trophy and national championships.
2 national championships.
I said championships, did I not?
I don't know. I thought you said championship there. I just want to make sure.
I said championships, even though the first one, whatever, was Chris Leak and Tim Tebow playing fullback. But
he scored a touchdown. That's all that matters.
Playing fullback, right?
Doesn't matter.
He didn't. Okay, whatever you want to go. Whatever.
He didn't fumble on the 1 yard line. I did.
Whatever narrative fits. Whatever you want to say best is fine.
Thank you.
It'll be very interesting to see how people clamor over AR. I do think this has done nothing but hurt the draft stocks of a guy like Bryce Young. I think when you put those two next to each other, we talked about Bryce Young a little bit pre-show. I don't know if Bryce Young has done anything this year that makes me say that Bryce Young should be the number 1 pick. I haven't seen him, measurable wise, we're going to say he's a little bit smaller, right? Kyler Murray size, maybe a little bit taller. He's got a good arm. He was, pretty much the number 1 recruit coming out of USC, 5-star recruit. I'm sorry, he was committed to USC, flipped to Alabama, and then went to Alabama and really performed well there. But I don't think that he necessarily came out and dominated or was this amazing throw the ball over the field, chuck it all over the yard quarterback that we're making him out to be. And I do think those measurables will play a factor. I have a theory that I hate small quarterbacks throwing to small receivers. I just don't think it works, because your arm angle and where you're throwing at, you can't throw down to a small receiver. You have to basically throw them open every single time.
I
Yeah,
think it's
I don't know.
I think it's really tough. Like you said, a good point. I mean, he's coming in at 5'10" and 1/8 inch and 204 pounds. Whenever I see a quarterback at that height, I think about the virtual reality games that you play, and you can actually like put yourself in the quarterback position, right? And you're trying to throw, and you have 6'7", 6'5", 350-pound guys in front of you standing up. So it's hard to even see over those guys or see through that. And then you're supposed to determine the coverage and everything down the field. You can't even see it. I mean, I think it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be really tough. One of the things about Bryce Young in particular that I thought was really, really interesting is that I can't remember which commentator it was. I believe it was ESPN, but I'm not 100% sure. They were talking about how don't overthink it. He's a champion. He has dominated the SEC West, which is one of the toughest conferences in football. National championship. Don't overthink it. Number 1 pick. Go with it. And I sat back and I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, if that's your criteria, then where's Stetson Bennett on your list? Literally dominated him, Young, in that same conference, beat him twice, back-to-back national championships, and the dude is he's not even a whisper. We're talking about Levi from Kentucky. We're talking about C.J. Stroud. We're talking about Bryce Young. We're talking about Anthony Richardson, who's only played 1 year, and even that was a little bit, up in the air. We're not even talking about Stetson Bennett, who's a proven back-to-back national championship and beat this guy with the team. So I think that a lot of the analysts, everybody, I mean, obviously there's got to be a reason, right, that we're not talking about him. I just don't know what it is, unless they're just saying that the entire 5-star recruits around him, basically helped him and led them. But from my understanding, they put up 60 points in the national championship, correct?
Did those same 5-star recruits not help a guy like Bryce Young, though?
No, exactly.
You know
That's
what I
what
mean? Like,
the guy still had to throw the ball. I don't know, man.
I'll say this too. I do think Stetson Bennett is a little bit more mobile than Bryce Young as well, in terms of the way he gets out of the pocket, runs the ball over the field. I mean, he was very sharp in terms of running the ball this year as well.
Jeremy, do we have the stats on Stetson Bennett? Can you get those for me? Let's see where he recaps. That's one of the things I just don't understand. I mean, you have a back-to-back national championship that's not even getting looked at. I mean, he's not even anywhere. He'll probably be like a 5th, 6th round pick, maybe.
I think he might go earlier than that. I could see him projected in like the 4th round. Somebody moves up and takes a shot on him. Listen, if we're gonna be honest, he's a perfect fit for a place like Tampa that has no cap money and needs a cheap backup somehow.
Yeah, but I think I agree with that they needed a backup and a cheap backup, but I think you definitely need somebody with some NFL experience to get in there, definitely with Trask. And I mean, the Bucs have come out, like you said earlier, to say that basically they are rolling with Trask. It's his job kind of to lose, but they are going to bring in somebody to compete with him and push during training camp, which is, as somebody that we've talked about this whole time, that's all I've ever wanted, is to let the kid have some first-team reps. If he falls flat on his face, he falls flat on his face. At least we know now. But, with all of this quarterback talk coming up, man, the number 1 pick is heating up. There's talk about teams coming from like 9th, 10th, 12th, trying to move up. Does this affect people trying to jump CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, to try to get that number one pick? And the reports are coming out from Bears Nation that there's multiple teams clamoring over this, and they should get 3 first rounds for this pick, which that to me is absolutely insane. To think that the Bears could possibly trade back once, twice, still stay in the top 5, and be able to get Anderson or Carter, to me is absolutely crazy. And hey, quarterbacks, keep tearing it up on the combine, buddy, because you are helping the Bears be able to trade and then blow those picks on people that won't matter 5 years from now. But thank you. We're gonna have a little bit. We're gonna have a little bit of confidence in Ryan Poles here.
Do you agree with that at all? That the Bears should be wanting actual physical player compensation back as opposed to just wanting draft picks back?
No, well, yes. I think that there was a report out of, I think, Carolina, that they were going to get somebody. I think that they should absolutely get a proven player. Get some proven players.
Listen, let's just build the trenches, like with this as much as we can, right? offensive line, defensive line, get somebody to protect Justin Fields, and then fill in with those draft picks with skill players.
Correct.
Right? DBs, wide receivers, because you're going to hit on a few of those, you know?
And I think that's a great point.
Guys in the trenches.
We're on the back end of his rookie contract. We're in win now mode because once that rookie contract comes out, we're losing about $30 million in cap space right off the rip. Because it's just going to go up in the next 2 years anyway. He's going to get paid more and more money. Surround him, like you just said, with some veterans. You know, it looks like we're losing out on some of the names. Looks like Keenan Allen's going to stay, and in LA or whatever the hell that team city is in now. It looks like Devontae Adams is going to stay. It looks like the only one that was kind of still up in the air is DeAndre Hopkins. It looks like
D-Hop's on the block.
It looks like he's still going to stay in Arizona, which who knows.
But you do have, I think, some, and I'm just going to really quick look up free agent this year. But I know, somebody like Jamel Dean from the Bucks, who's a really good corner, is out there as well. You guys need, obviously, help in the secondary. The Bucks do not have the money to sign him at all.
Well, we think that, and then the Saints go out and sign Derek Carr. So maybe there's a pile of funny money out there.
And I know I saw them restructuring a bunch of people as well, which is interesting. But I'm just gonna real quick try to bring.
Yeah, while you're doing that, Jeremy just chimed in. Stetson is 5'11", 190 pounds. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why because maybe he. But like you said, you think he's more mobile than Bryce Young, so that's kind of I don't know.
Winner though, I just thought with what we saw Stetson Bennett. I mean, look, Bryce Young moves the pocket well, and he does move well. He can get out there and run as well, but I think Stetson Bennett's very comparable when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's the only that's the only thing. That's the only reason why I think that he's probably not getting the looks that he is because of his height. But then again, I don't understand the other one as well. But like I said, I think that the Bears are going to be in a great spot. There was a little bit of a lull there for a while, thinking that they might not get a king's ransom for the number one pick. But as these quarterbacks continue to heat up, I think that they're going to get it. I think that they should definitely trade down. I think they should trade down multiple times if they can, as long as they can still lane. And to your point, get some proven players. Like you said, if you're going to trade with Carolina, get some badass O-linemen. Get some stuff that you can do to win now, because you can you can draft
and a pick or two,
exactly. You can draft away, but the odds that you're going to draft a Jamar Chase and is going to be that impactful the first year or Justin Jefferson is very minimal. You might be able to get Carter or Anderson, which is going to help, or the other kid that they're comparing to Aaron Donald, but you're not going to get somebody. The odds you're not going to get it. So just get your picks. Possibly.
A couple different options here for. I mean, wide receiver. I don't know what you guys are. I think you're fine on wide receiver, right? With Claypool and Mooney, and maybe you add a slot guy or something like that.
No, we need another receiver. We need one that we need out of the draft class if possible. I mean, we're talking about Darnell Mooney getting $20 million a year. No, come on, man.
I think Darnell Mooney's a really good wide receiver.
He is, but he's had one good year, 1.5. I mean, I need a little bit more. That's all. I just need a little bit more. Plus,
DB wise.
So while you're looking up that as well, one of the things that we don't like talking about here is the brother of Patrick Mahomes, and
Jesus Christ.
And here he is again, old Jackson Mahomes, back in the news again for basically forcing himself on somebody. We don't have the whole details, and we're not going to go into the details of what just happened. But my God, can the kid just get out of his own way? Like you're
no,
like
the most entitled person in the world. Well, he pushed a waiter, right? Supposedly, establishment pushes the waiter. Goes into whatever the office or wherever where the owner is, and then grabs her and forces himself onto her.
That was in the office, the video?
It looked like the office. I don't know.
That looked like
not
it was
once, but multiple times, right? Like, it's so bad, dude. And just
the fact that Patrick Mahomes is going to have to field questions about this shit, like, bro, Your brother is going to take care of you. Just fucking go in the distance, bro. You don't need your own identity. You don't need to be a TikTok fan. You're not going to be famous. You're just not going to, okay? You're going to be famous for all the wrong reasons, just like you have. You're never getting out of your shadow. Just please go away. Let Patrick Mahomes be. Let him not have to answer questions about you. Jeremy just said our top 10 free agents. Lamar, Orlando Brown, Jamal Dean, Saquon, Danny Dimes, Derek Carzoff, Geno Smith, Jimmy G, and Bobby Wagner. I can't believe that the Saints or the Seahawks haven't re-signed Geno Smith, to be honest with you.
They said they're not going to franchise tag him either.
No. And as far as Lamar, I mean, obviously that's heating up. But if I'm the Ravens, I non-exclusive franchise tag him. Non-exclusive.
Well, of course, yeah, because you're going to get 2 first rounds for somebody who's going to go pay him anyway.
Exactly.
That'll be coming down the pipe here in the next few days or so that they will qualify that as well too. So we'll see what happens.
Well, moving on from the NFL, we had a great weekend out on the course this weekend at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. We had some really, really good golf. We had some really bad golf. We had some great recovery golf. We did see first-time winner Kurt Kitayama come through, which I watched probably more golf this one. After the triple bogey, I thought that dude was done. And all of a sudden, he just grinds back. And the mental fortitude that it took for that to happen was pretty awesome. The boys ran into Max Homa in the old clubhouse, had a couple drinks with the boys. John Rahm, your boy. We had it on the group chat. Of course, I was just talking shit, but I was like, he's going to, after the first round, he'll still miss the cut. He damn near did. But the fact that he finished dead last, wow, what a collapse, huh?
And was it the greatest collapse ever? No, we've seen Seve Ballesteros, and we've seen Greg
Norman at the Masters.
These are more, in my opinion, bigger collapses than leading in round one and then shooting shot 77 or something like that, or 76 2 days in a row, 8 over the next 2 days, and then even par the last day. So no, I don't think it's the biggest collapse ever. Listen, Bay Hill plays the toughest course on tour that is not a major.
I did see that.
Because of rough and because of everything like that. This is basically another major they have to go out here and play because of the prize pool. Now we got bigger names who are in there. Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. I thought it was an amazing tournament in terms of the names that you had up there. At the end, you still had drama going into 18. Kitayama makes the big birdie on 17 and then hits the ball into the rough on 18. And you're like, man, can he get up and down from there? Hits it in the middle of the green. He's got 70-foot putt and nearly rolls it in. I feel like if he would have waited 10 more seconds, that ball was going to fall in the cup. Just an amazing moment for the young man. Showed true grit and moxie. But it was just cool to be in that moment. It's tough because you have your guys that you're rooting for, right? And we're all, FanDuel.
Basically just on fantasy.
Or, whatever you got your fantasy going on, and you're like, oh, man, or maybe laid some dollars on Victor Hovland, and you're like, man, what great position he's in, and all of a sudden it comes down, but it keeps you intrigued until the very end. I thought it was great for that because you had Hatton, you had Hovland, you had all the guys that the boys talked about on the podcast on Wednesday really came through and performed. They did a great job in terms of breaking that tournament down. I'm sure they're going to do a great job in terms of breaking down the players as well. And it was nice to see them out reaping the benefits of their winnings last night. They were out and they were involved.
Really,
after
really
a great day at Bay Hill. It was good to see the boys banged up a little bit throwing darts.
I'll tell you, one of the biggest disappointments I had was Scotty Scheffler. You're sitting there, tied for the lead. We're one shot back, I think, at that point in time, going into 18. And to bogey 18 the way he did, to drop back into fourth place, most people know I was in that exact position, coming down 18. That exact same pin position. Like, I can't remember who had the exact same putt that I had that just missed it. I'm screaming at the TV, it's a little 2-ball left to righter. He missed it way back.
Tyrell Hatton.
It's just...
It was Tyrell Hatton had the exact same putt that you had.
And of course I drained it. Now you can say that there was no pressure on me, but I think that there was pressure on me because I called it off the tee. I said, I will birdie this hole 18 Sunday pin position, and I went for it.
Let me just preface this. Is what happened is we go out, we play around at Bay Hill, beautiful course, having a great time. the two of us and then two of our other buddies. Let me preface this with Tyson going into that hole. You were what, 6 or 7 over?
I think it was 6. Yeah,
6 over going into that hole. Okay,
with no birdies.
And hadn't made a birdie, but the other 3 of us had made birdies on it on previous holes. And so one of our friends at the time turns to Tyson and says, "Man, you know, it's great that you can break 80, but I do know that when I play a course like Bay Hill, at least I know I can have a birdie on it."
You know, this is what he said. I still have it. Brendan, he goes, you know, it's good round going over here, but you know, when I play a marquee course, I like to make sure I notch at least a birdie or 2. You know, I mean,
yeah,
that's just gonna happen on a marquee course. Tyson, how many birdies do you have?
Yep. And so Tyson bus driver about 305.
Well, hold on. If we're gonna, so I looked right at him and I said, "I will guarantee you, I birdie this hole." Then.
Oh, we're getting the extended version of the story.
Well, you got to put that part in it, otherwise there's no pressure.
Anyway, he hits a little, what was it, like a punch 8 iron that you hit into the green?
Yeah, the wind was howling that day. I took it way over right.
He hit a little kind of a punch 8 iron from about 165 yards that ended up about 25, 30 feet.
Behind the pin.
As he's lining the putt up, our buddy, the same guy who was running his mouth, decides to turn his phone on and start recording. And when he does that, the pin falls from him holding it. So Tyson stops his back and forth, turns around, looks, says, "Oh, okay, this is what we're doing." Steps up, hits the putt, nothing but net. Jackson, Tyson, Jordan, game 6.
I mean, when you have the clutch gene like Jordan does, and a few other people like me, you know, I mean, that just doesn't bother. You know, it's just one of those things. And to see these,
like LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron's got some clutch in him. To see these professional players you're one shot down, right? You're one shot down. I mean,
at that point, Scotty was tied actually. Because
no, he was one down. Kitayama was 9 under.
No, but he was ahead of Kitayama. He didn't know what Kitayama had done.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Kitayama hadn't made birdie yet, so he was technically, when he teed off on 18, he was tied for the lead, right? All he had to do was make par, and he ends up hitting it short, you know, kind of chunking his chip a little bit, and then missing the par putt and making bogey.
And the chip, I mean,
he's out of it.
The chip was straightforward, right up the hill. I mean, there's no reason, I mean, for him to, other than nerves. I don't. That was my biggest disappointment.
Yeah, Harris English to me was really impressive as well too. The way that he just kind of matriculated the ball around that golf course. It reminds me of how you're supposed to play major golf courses to just stay out of the rough. I think at one point Harris English made like 13 pars in a row or something like that, and just kept his head down, kept grinding. You know, got 1 or 2 birdie putts to drop, and then, you know, was right there in contention at the very end.
I'm sorry, I have to back up here a little bit. He did what to the course?
He just matriculated the ball down the course.
Matriculated?
Yeah.
What? Who are you? Who are you? Matriculated. Oh, I'd like to matriculate this course. Thank you very much. But what a great win by Kurt Kitayama. Congratulations to him. I was really surprised at the purse. Holy shit. It's been a long time since I watched, you know, golf, but you know, the purse is usually about $1.5 million, somewhere out there. I thought it was like 3.2 million for this thing. Not a bad for a week of work, you know.
And listen, we have the Players Championship coming up this week. It's just going to get even better. I was talking to the boys off air, our Wednesday guys, and they were telling me they had a lot of additional stats that just, you know, it was the first time they were on, they couldn't get to, you know, but they have it all lined up, ready to go for us on Wednesday. It's going to be a great preview. Please make sure you tune in. If you would like to make some money, right? FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever it is, you know, whatever outlet you have, let me tell you something. This is the way to do it. Listen to these guys and know exactly what they're talking about.
Well, as exactly what we can get to on the Uninformed Fan. But yes, it's going to be a great show. 11:30. Tune in. We're definitely going to have them on. They're going to recap, you know, some of the pros and stuff that they did good from this year. I'm sorry, last the Art of Palmer, and then again moving forward. So yeah, definitely great stuff. Ian says matriculate means to enroll in college, Jeffrey.
It does not. But
well, the fans rule around here, Jeff. So I don't know.
He's not a fan. He's a hater.
He still tunes in, and he's still a number on the screen. So your voice will always be heard here, Mr. Z's.
Stop texting me about LeBron. Let me say whatever I want to, bro.
Yeah, we're not getting into that. I'm not taking the bait here. So we had Formula One back at Bahrain, Saudi Arabia this weekend. Mm-hmm. A lot of it played out to what we thought. I messed around. I didn't know. I played a little bit of Formula One fantasy. I didn't know that was the thing as well, but it is. Oh. And with Danny that we had in on the show last Friday, he got me involved. I thought I had until Sunday to set my lineup, but apparently it was before practice on Saturday. Ended up dominating. Of course, I had Red Bull 1-2. I had Red Bull, then I had Williams, who scored a point. Great match. It was a really, really good Formula One race outside of the number one position, as Max just hammered it off the gate. He was gone. Nobody was touching that car. That's just real good. I'm just going to give a quick recap, little rundown of the F1 race, and then we're going to kind of dig into it a little bit more. Sergio Perez obviously looking great as well in the Red Bull car. The story of the race, though, was definitely Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso taking home third, which he did secure by by Ferrari once again fucking up. But that's another story. But Aston Martin really, really looking good there. We had Logan in 6th. Ferrari, again, another disappointment. Engine issues, tire degradations. Mercedes jumping back up. They were last in the time trials, last in practice, and they came back up with a decent finish. Alpine, absolutely horrible. Esteban Ocon, I believe, had over a minute in penalties between exceeding track limitations, not taking proper penalties when he was in the pits. It was like 5 minutes in penalties. It was absolutely crazy. Pierre Gasly, though, what a day. Started in 20th, came all the way back up to 9th. Great day from him. Williams back into the points. The rookie, the American driver, Sargent, he got 12th place in his very first race. Great showing by him. Haas continues to disappoint, just going down it, and then McLaren is nothing but a dumpster fire at this point. Both cars did not finish. It was absolutely asinine out of McLaren, but we did see some great overtaking by Fernando Alonso in the middle of the race. I know you didn't get to see the entire race. You kind of saw a little bit at the end. First lap was absolutely amazing. Watching Sergio Perez try to defend off Charles Leclerc and the Ferrari out of the first one was absolutely amazing. He did not do it. They actually touched a little bit. We didn't have a whole lot of wreckage, which was good. We had a good smooth race. We had a couple different yellow flags. But the biggest takeaways coming out of the race is obviously Red Bull, and Red Bull just has a car and a driver that looks as if nobody is going to touch them. They did a little bit of different on the tires. They went soft, hard, whereas Ferrari went soft, hard, soft to try to but there was nothing that they could do to collect him. There was nothing they could do to even get close to him. I sure hope that this isn't a preview of the way that it's going to come. First race of the year, Danny sent me a little graphic. The people that won the first race of the year never have, or they haven't won the Constructors' Cup. I don't think that that's necessary. Yeah, let me bring it up here real quick. He sent it to me. It's a reel, of course. When you want your favorite driver win, but not win this one, the winner of the season opener, the past 2022, Charles Leclerc won. They finished second. Hamilton won it in 2021, finished second. Bottas finished second. It kind of went all the way down, basically from 2017 all the way to 2022. Whoever won that race, it finished second. I don't foresee that happening. I mean, shit. Red Bull had a couple races where they didn't finish either car last year. It just completely dominated. I don't think that that's going to happen. What is this? Jesus Christ. We're okay. We're
whatever, bro. We're going to war. Listen. So I picked it up. I think we talked about this before. One of the best things about F1 is it's only 57 laps. It's not like the Daytona 500 where you're watching 5 hours of racing, and you're blacked out at hour 3. Listen, I love that it's so short. I did tune in about lap 40. 40, 45, something like that, and threw it on the television. It's awesome to see it on ESPN Sunday morning. It was a great time to have it as well too. From what I understand about F1, most of the action happens at the very beginning, right? Because
Correct.
after that, everything's kind of settled in. So, the last 17 laps are not going to be as exciting as the first 3 or 4 because everybody's bunched together and it's really who's as fast out of the gate as they possibly can. So for me, it wasn't as exciting as it was for you being able to watch it in the race's entirety. I will say I am excited to delve into it a little bit more and be able to watch an entire race. I'm excited. I love seeing that. How did Sainz do? I always loved Carlos Sainz.
Sainz.
When I was watching. He's with Ferrari now, right?
Carlos Sainz.
Saints.
Yeah, he is. They sucked.
Oh, okay, cool, perfect. So, it looks like it's going to be the Red Bull show. Lewis Hamilton did creep up there in, 5th place or something like that. And I was also wondering, too, because I remember when I was watching, I was like, whatever happened to the Schumacher kid? And then I see he's an alternate driver for Mercedes now.
Yeah, he didn't do.
His own car.
He went with he was with Haas last year, and he wrecked the cars more than he finished. So, yeah. And that is on Drive to Survive when you get to that episode. Carlos Sainz ended up finished 5th, which is again very disappointing considering, but it was all about tire degradation. He just didn't have the tires to keep up. And again, that just goes back to Ferrari management as well. And who was the other one you were just asking about? Well, the Mercedes finished 6-7, which was a good showing, but you got to figure, if the Ferrari doesn't lose the engine, they're still in 7th, 8th, and by Mercedes standards, that's still just not good at all. You did have, like I said, the biggest one, to me, was wait, is this it? Oh, hold on, I take that back. I apologize. That was not it. That was something else.
Yeah, well, I think you're talking about how great the weekend was too. It was also great because you have Saturday, you have all day, you're finishing up the college basketball season. XFL is going on. Sunday morning you have the F1 race that leads you right into golf Sunday afternoon, and you're able to kind of sit there and watch golf all Sunday afternoon as well too. But do you have anything else on F1 before we move on?
Yeah. So just to finish up, that was wrong. So Lewis Hamilton took 5th. George Russell took 7th on that. Like I said, the biggest ones obviously was Fernando Alonso at 3rd and Lance Stroll at 6th. It's really great. Like I said, a lot of good racing. I know that you said that you missed. There was a lot of great overtakes in the middle of the race. Fernando Alonso took over at the end. It was just a very good. We do have a week off this week, and then we'll be back on April 2nd. And apparently it's Carlos Sainz is how it's pronounced. I was just informed by my F1 expert that we were saying it wrong. It's Carlos Sainz.
So my question is, 2 weeks off, and where's the next race?
It is April 2nd in the Australian Grand Prix.
Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You see all of the production that goes into an F1 race. To pack all that up and just keep bouncing different countries, and sometimes on back-to-back weeks, to me is absolutely crazy, man. There's a lot of logistics involved in that.
Incredible. Now, are the races are going to be at different times depending on what country or continent or whatever it is they are, right? They're not always at Sunday morning at 11 a.m.
It's usually at 9 o'clock in the morning. Because
usually at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Wait, hold on.
And then just depend. 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm assuming U.S. time that we watch it, Eastern U.S. time. And then they just kind of race whenever it is that they're in their continent or whatever.
I take that back. I was once again corrected. Why don't you just dial into the show, Clay, if you're going to listen? Like, holy crap. March 19th is the next race. March 19th, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Okay, that should be fun. Little camels that they're, racing past, and desert,
What? There's no camels on the raceway.
No,
there's no camels on the raceway.
That would be a nice little wrinkle, though. You know what I mean? Like, just have a camel walking by, spits at you as you're flying by at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, it is.
Especially in those later laps when it gets monotonous.
Here we go with another high. Anyway, so March Jesus Christ. March 17th through 19th. March 19th is the race. That's going to be the next one. We're looking to see if Red Bull is going to continue the domination. I cannot wait for this race again. I just want to see what happens with Aston Martin. That's really
You're not a Max Verstappen fan, right?
I technically I am, yes. Technically I am.
Why technically though?
Well, here's the deal. All right. So when we
Break it down for me.
got into F1, me and my cousin thought, which team do we want? We would love to be able to cheer for an American team like Haas or something, but the reality is they're never going to compete. It was kind of up in the air this year. Okay, so then when we went into this year about who we're going to root for, especially since we're going to the race in Miami, it became very like, who do we root for? Who do we root for? Then it also came out that Ford has signed the partnership with Red Bull to where Ford will be involved in taking over the engine in Red Bull in the coming years. Obviously, I have a Ford truck. Ford's American, so therefore I stuck with Red Bull. So Red Bull is my team. I prefer Checo over Max Verstappen, just over the drama that was caused last year. I went into this with an open mind this year, however, since they squashed it. I'm sure that I can squash it, but it's very, very happy to see, like we said in the last show, that Sergio Perez came out and said, listen, if you don't give me the support I need, I'm not going to be the team player that I have been over the past years with Max. I want to win. I want to be over there as well. So, yes, Red Bull was my team, is my team. However, there's a dark horse coming, and I think that is Williams. And I'm really kind of rooting for Williams as my secondary team, because if you want to call it like that, you really have 3 or 4 teams that are going to be in it. But Williams is now owned by an American-based investment firm out of New York. They also have Sargent, which is the only American driver on the grid. So, yes, Red Bull is going to be the one that I continue to go with, but I'm going to have a little bit of a love for the Williams team just to get them back into relevance.
The lady sold. She sold. It was like her dad's company or whatever, and she ended up selling.
Yeah, they just, they've really fallen from grace over the past years. Used to be one of the most dominant teams in F1 racing, but it just really kind of fell off. But yes, it's I can't remember the name of the investment firm. It starts with a D, I believe, but it's out of New York.
Okay. Well, that's why I was curious too, because you said Haas will never win, but I feel like Williams was really down, a couple years ago, and now it seems like they're back up on the rise. So you don't think that Haas could go through that same kind of transformation? Haas
just had another immensely disappointment in the last race. Every time that you because we love Gunther, like watching the show. Gunther's just an amazing guy. He's got great energy. Doralton Capital is the name of the one. Thank you. He's an amazing guy. You want to root for him, but bro, they just suck. Like they just don't compete. They had some blips last year, but they just don't compete. And talking to my cousin and being a Chicago fan, I've been beat down enough. I've been beat down enough with losing teams, disassembled franchises. Like, I can't do it again. We can't do it again. We talked about this exact. We talked about this exact thing about rooting for Haas. This was before last year, and we looked at each other. We're like, dude, all of our teams suck. Can we root for one that might have a chance to win? We didn't want to go with Red Bull, and I don't know if he actually is a Red Bull fan, but when Ford came in, that kind of sealed the deal for me. Red Bull is my team. If they end up being a shit team next year, I'm still going to cheer for Red Bull. That's how I am. I'm kind of a ride or die guy when it comes to that.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which team I want to go with, and it's tough.
I'll tell you,
who is Audi going into? You said Audi is going to go into somebody's car going forward or be involved.
I think it's Alpine, but don't quote me on that. Which my wife apparently is a fan of now because they have pink cars.
Didn't Stroll break his wrist or something like that a few weeks ago, and he's miraculously back to start the season?
And he finished 6th. He has broken hands, broken thumb, broken foot, broken toe, or something like that as well. Yes, and there was a lot of concern whether he was even going to race. He didn't get any of the practice time in, and actually holding the steering wheel with those broken thumbs obviously is not something that's ideal. And came back and finished 6th.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of need Dunks to drive a little bit, you know.
So overall, great. Just happy to have F1 back. Looking forward. Like I said, we got a break this week. We're back the week after that with Saudi Arabia. Really looking to see if Aston Martin can continue the resurgence, because there's really nothing else to call it. And we'll see if McLaren can pull themselves out of the dumpster fire, and if anybody can touch Max Verstappen. Actually, you know what? I love this guy, man. He can't be on the show because he has a big boy job and he's working in a factory, but the man continues to feed me the information. Audi is going to be with Alfa Romeo in 2026.
Oh, okay. And Alfa Romeo is
not relevant.
Italian, yeah, not relevant really.
It's an Italian car maker. You know, they have a couple, but yeah, for a major car manufacturer to not be relevant, it's nobody's scared of Alfa Romeo. Let's just say that. I think that's an easy way to pick it up.
Did you happen to catch the UFC fights?
I did. I purchased it. I wanted to see John Bones in action, and that man did not disappoint. It was a little bit more of a Mike Tyson type, where it didn't last very long. There were some good fights on the undercard. The two girls that had the co-main card was probably one of the better fights, and I don't know. I'm not saying it's a turn on, because that's definitely not what I'm saying. But there's something to watch two women just beat the shit out of each other, and it's just I don't know. It's interesting to watch, because it's not something that you expect to see walking down the streets. You walk down the street, you see two guys fighting, right? You're like, oh, okay, whatever. It's not like you're seeing two girls out there just beating each other down. But to watch them beat each other down, man, that was just a great fight. And the way that, I don't know the girl's name that won, but the way that she just all of a sudden flipped and took back control and put that girl in the chokehold, holy macaroons, man. This is another reason why I'm telling you here. This is going to be some free advice for everyone out here from the uninformed fam. Don't fuck with people, right? Just don't fuck with people. There's no reason to get into fights anymore. Just walk away, man. I say this a lot. When I was working out at the LA Fitness in downtown Orlando, there was this nerdy looking guy over in the corner, like doing weird stretches and stuff. Back then I was in my, I was in my zone. I was pretty big, and
were you gonna see your juice face?
I was on my juice. I was on my juice up phase. And I'm like, look at this fucking guy. About no more than I said that, the dude does like a fucking 180 roundhouse kick to this punching bag, which would probably decapitate any normal human. Just don't. There's no need for it. Just don't.
It ain't worth it.
Just don't. Don't. Did you happen to catch any?
I did. And I was just going to say this. You talk about not fucking with people. My kids are going to jiu-jitsu as soon as they come back from Europe next week.
Well, they are Brazilian.
They are Brazilian. Grandpa grew up with the Gracies. Grandpa was ranked third in all of Brazil at one point in his life in jiu-jitsu as well.
Wait.
Marcus.
No shot. Are you serious?
Yeah. He was
what?
Black belt. Anyway, they will be starting jiu-jitsu. I see too many situations now of kids getting picked on, beat up, whatever. I don't care. My kids are going to know how to put you in a rear naked chokehold and make you tap at least.
But you know what? But the thing, especially talking about this, I heard I was on Joe Rogan's not on it. I started listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, and he had somebody on there that was just a complete badass, man. I can't remember who was it, just a complete badass. And he's talking about how when he's trained like that, he's not going to get into a fight. It's not worth it for him, because if he does something like that and the guy falls, hits his head, dies, he's done. Or if he gets severely hurt. Now, he said the only way that he's going to have that happen, get into that situation, is if somebody actually lays their hands on him. But if it's words, anything else, he's just walking away. As a matter of fact, he said, I'm running away. I will run away from a fight. I don't care what you think about me. I don't think you care if I'm a pussy or whatever. I will literally beat your ass and almost kill you in any format that you want to go. But I'm not going to engage in this shit, because the only person that's going to lose is me.
It's also a level of confidence that when you know that you have the skill set, and like you're looking at somebody and they're talking shit, and you're just like, okay, dude, like, this isn't gonna end well. Let's just not do this, please. Like,
well, case in point was that that kid that took out the 2 football players in the bathroom. I remember that story where the 2 football players. I can't remember what they were. Jeremy, if you know this story, help a brother out. But they smacked the kid or whatever. He's standing there. There's a video of it. He's just standing there. It's him and his brother, who are both MMA fighters, and these 2 big football players that are trying to talk shit, trying to push him around, right? And he's got blood, and the dude says something, and he goes like this, and he's like, all right, and just boom, beat his ass. The guy had ended up with like a brain hemorrhage or something, and ended up being sued because, he cost this dude his football career. It's crazy. But back to the fights.
Yes, the fights. I did watch the John Jones fight.
Alexa Grasso. She beat the 7-time defending flyweight champion Valentina Shevchenko. 6-1 underdog. And dude, she looked determined. Yeah,
I should have bet on that underdog, because betting against John Jones is something I'll never do in my life again.
What were the odds on that?
It's a couple to 1, I mean, he was like 2 to 1. The other cat was, but I'm looking at it. Okay, John Jones hasn't fought in X amount of time. He could come in rusty. This and this and this, and then we come out. The very first thing that happens 10 seconds into the round is he gets kicked square in the nuts by the guy, and then you just see John Jones' reaction of like, okay, here we go, and then 45 seconds later the guy's tapping out. Listen,
to me, let's see, who did he fight? Cyril Gane, is that him?
Gagne, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it.
Cyril Gane. To me, after that fight got started, now I know, but Cyril looked to me like he was scared.
Dude, did you see after the fight how he's like trying to hug John Jones, and John Jones is like, dude, get the fuck off me, bro.
It felt weird.
Stop touching me. It was like too elongated of like, congratulations, and it's like, dude, like.
It felt weird to me. That fight felt weird, especially after the kick in the nuts. I don't know. I'm not gonna say it didn't feel like he was trying, but it
felt rigged.
It kind of felt like, hey, you're gonna get your shot down the road, but this is what we need to have happen here today.
Yeah. It felt rigged.
It didn't feel like a fight. It really didn't. It felt completely one-sided. Now, not to discredit John Jones at all, because that could be purely him. But from what I saw in the fact that he looked scared, he looked very timid. It looked like it was one of those things where I have no shot at this fight. I'm just trying to like not die type maneuvers. I don't know. But again, for an $80 pay-per-view purchase to watch that, did see Marky Mark in the crowd. Little TB12 hanging out with Mike Evans. I don't know what was that all about.
You see the funniest thing too I saw. So there was also Ryan Griffin and Blaine Gabbert were there too.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so they're like, man, Kyle Trask like looking at the entire Bucks quarterback room like, what happened to me, bro? Like,
well, we all knew Blaine Gabbert was Brady's boy, and for whatever reason they just gelled, and I think that's why we didn't see some of the. But anyway, neither here nor there. But that's absolutely freaking hilarious. But when they showed Mike Evans sitting next to Tom Brady, my wife looked at me and she goes, "I guess they didn't have any synergy problems." I'm like, I guess not. I guess not.
Somebody took a picture. They said that the greatest Buccaneer of all time with a guy named Tom Brady.
That is true. That is true. I mean, Mike Evans has got to be, but when I think of the Bucks, I still think of old school. I think Mike Alstad. I think
worked on Derek Brooks.
Yeah,
John Lynch.
Yeah, I think of those
Warren
guys.
Sapp.
But it was definitely a star-studded event. I saw Travis Barker there, Mario Lopez again next to Marky Mark, who wore a very lime green hoodie to stick out into the crowd. It was
was there.
I did see that.
Saw Nikki was in the building.
Yeah, he was getting roasted for his seat location on his Twitter.
I did. It did look a little suspect, honestly. I'd expect him down there a little bit farther. But he plays Apex now for fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's not he's not trying to make as much as he was back then. When he hated Warzone. So
I don't know, man. He still had a pretty good outreach, but he was up there in a different time zone. It seemed like that,
Just fine for himself.
I'm sure that he's going to have a conversation with his manager about that. But regardless, he was in the building. He had a good time. It looked like his manager was having a good time. It looked like he hit a couple parlays there at the end. But yeah, it's definitely a star-studded event. I think it just felt like he was going to win that fight no matter what. I don't know. Anyway,
I agree.
Wrapping it up from the weekend show. Anything else that is on your mind, Jeffrey? Anything?
Looking forward to Wednesday.
So Wednesday we'll be back. We'll have a little bit of recap between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then we're going to have the boys back on at 11:30 to do the golf show to finish it up. We're going to recap the Arnold Palmer from their aspect of the betting.
Players Championship.
And then we're going to preview the players coming out, which should be a great week. Then we'll have our Friday show. This weekend I'm going down to Tampa to see what's left of the Blackhawks. That should be very interesting.
Are you staying down there all weekend or?
Nah, just one night. Down and back.
One night.
Down and back. Can't be down there too long. Anyway.
Tampa's a beautiful place. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. I cannot wait for Wednesday. If you want to make some money on golf this week, tune in on Wednesday. Listen to Chad and Paul. They're going to get you right. I'm telling you right now.
He's telling you right now. Tune in Wednesday. We'll see you there. Everybody have a great start to your week. Have a good Monday. We'll talk to you guys on Wednesday.
Be great.
There it is.